Hello.
Okay. Hello everybody, and welcome to another fabulous match of our Hollow Knight All Skills tournament. This is a loser sides match between Muri and Eduboy25. Um, should be some really good play here. We are deep into our All Skills bracket. It's a double elimination style thing. And so both of these racers are fighting for the right to stay in the tournament as we whittle ourselves down to smaller and smaller groups. My name is Herm. I'll be one of the commentators for today, and joining me on the mic is Wasabi Knight.
Hello. I'm really glad to be here for this race. I think the losers bracket races are some of the most exciting ones here because every racer really has to give it their all if they want to stay in the tournament here. A single death could mean the end of it all, so every nerves are going to be running high, and I think that honestly, that's where you can see a lot of the best gameplay, or a lot of the best of a player's mental, or the worst potentially. But we don't hope for that. We really
Yeah,
want to see that pressure bring out the best.
exactly. We want to see heads up play here from both these runners. Although Murray has a PB that is significantly lower than Edu's, with Murray's PB being like a lower 50-minute time, and Edu's being closer to the 53 range. Like Sabi said, any sort of death, any sort of slipping up under pressure can massively turn the tide. And so we're just going to hope that both these players do a good job, keep their heads up, and yeah, try to give the best race they can because for one of them it will be the last.
All right, we're double checking some load normalizers, and then we'll be counting down soon. For
Beautiful.
everyone who is not familiar with the All Skills Tournament, um, we usually have a few tools with us to help keep track of times. The live split obviously is one of them, but also the load normalizer. It slows down the loads. Ideally, it slows them to the point of the slower up person's computer, and that way it won't affect the gameplay too much. It affects some cycles, but most runners can get used to it. But ideally, it won't affect the timers. If somebody forgets their load normalizer, it won't make them faster. All it will do is put them ahead visually,
Hmm.
but gameplay wise, they still have to play. They still have
Yep.
to play better in order to be ahead.
There's no free time save that comes from the load normalizer. At some points, you may see one runner be significantly ahead of another on the clock, but that really doesn't mean anything. Just sort of shows that, the load normalizer is giving them the better end of the stick because they have a faster PC. But we should see them loading in soon, um,
Yeah.
and
I,
probably a sync.
yeah. Ideally with the I mean, Murray's just doing a test right now, but yeah.
Yes.
Ideally, with proper load normalizers, neither runner will be too different on the timers. It is possible, especially in the earlier stage of the tournament where the matches were much more uneven, for a runner to be almost minutes ahead on the timer,
Yeah.
just because as they go through more transitions, they technically like lose more time to loaded time.
Hmm.
So they would just be so much farther ahead because they've gone through 100 more transitions and that adds like 200 seconds to the clock. And
Right.
yeah, but at this stage, it shouldn't matter too much. We probably won't see these players more than probably 10 transitions ahead of the other unless there's a major death. So
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are rather tragic moments in which, like, I remember there being a few races, especially late in prelims, where people left their load normalizers off, and that led to some big time gaps. But at this point, no, we're good. And both these runners are practiced. They know the major components of the run, and like while a death can happen at any point, Sabi's absolutely right. We're not going to see somebody pulling super far ahead purely on moving around.
alright, just double checking. We have a 4-second load normalizer today. Just want to make sure that's what both runners have. And as soon as that's confirmed, we will start the countdown.
Woohoo. Yeah, I mean, thankfully I didn't do what I did at one point in commentary in which somebody just like went to practice King's Pass and I commentated the entire thing. That was glad we're not doing that this morning. Instead, we will have both runners doing King's Pass very shortly.
All right. Count it down. There'll be a short delay as the stream catches up. Just a feature of having, two separate two separate countdowns, or not two separate countdowns, two separate filters to go through in terms
Yes.
of, their streaming, which has a small delay on Twitch, and then we're recapturing their stream and broadcasting that again. So there's kind of a double delay effect there, but should be seeing them go pretty soon. I wouldn't expect too many huge differences early on. When it comes to top runners, their early games are very consistent, especially for runners like Muri, who have run multiple categories. All skills, 106%, and any percent all have basically the exact same beginning.
Yep. No, and Murray is a Green Path ComSob holder for that Enter Green Path split. So clearly, the practice nature really does show off. And just yeah, that's the thing is pretty much every category in Hollow Knight, or at least any of the longer ones, have a really markedly similar early game due to the fact that you just need to get the same movement before you can do anything else, as a randomizer player would tell you. But it looks like both of them are heading into King's Pass. We'll probably see a sync here as they get started, but yeah, we're off.
Yep, Murray, it looks like, got that good King's Pass time that you would want at the start of a race. I think 52 or 51. I saw him go for
Yeah, that's
the
real nice.
Yeah, I saw him go for the Cetic strat, where he nail slashes a wall just for a very slight boost in one direction. Um, Super small.
Yeah, you
Edgy
love
with the
to see it.
51 as well.
Good start
Already a
from both
very close
runners.
start. Yeah. 114 well entrance, really what you love to see.
Yeah, and so this first split, I mean, in any run pretty much, with the exception of like if you're truly masochistic and you're running spellless, any run is gonna get the Vengeful Spirit. If you're going out of Crossroads, you need it. And so this is a very, very practice split for any runner because it's the start of everything. Every time you reset, you're doing it again.
And the first major RNG point is that Gruz drop that we just saw Murray go through. No hit at all. That's fast as possible. Getting hit by the Gruzzes can really slow you down. You can lose about
Yeah.
2-3 seconds, which Eduboy did manage to lose those seconds. And here we have coming up an Aspid arena. I have to kill all the Aspids as fast as possible, provided they get the double spike, which is the faster method here. Ooh, Murray
Oh,
actually
Murray
missed the
missing
spike
it.
entirely. This is going to cost him quite a few seconds. That's actually a really nice cleanup for how far away they spread.
Yeah.
Edu, however,
Really.
definitely gets the better of that one. With just a single spike there and then finishes off the other Aspid as cleanly as you can. Definitely makes up for that
Yeah.
Gruz mother. Or
And
Gruz
for
drop.
sure, it's important to also consider just like the mental frustration that can arise from getting poor RNG on the Gruz drop or missing doubles. Like, I mean, Murray, like Sabi mentioned, that cleanup was really, really good for a bad situation. I just think that arises from the fact that when you've run a category so many times, you kind of are prepared for all of the different bad situations. And that just sort of is a testament to Murray's veteran status. But yeah, overall, it can also just be mentally frustrating in a race setting to start off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, and that's something I've been really impressed with the community overall. Um, when I first heard about this tournament, I wasn't really sure how many of these newcomers, not that Murray is a newcomer or anything, or Edu for that matter. I don't think he is anyway, but I was really wondered how many newcomers really had it in them to play in the tournament style. Because
Uh-huh.
not everyone can speedrun. Not everyone has that mentality to have something go wrong in the first 2 minutes and be able to continue. And
Right.
some people just never really get there. And I was so impressed to see that, you know, 99% of everyone who signed up for this tournament was able to get into that mentality successfully. And it was just beautiful to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've had throughout this tournament, we had some really wonderful matches from various folks of all ability levels. We've had people get massive personal bests. We've had people just pull off insane races with just tiny time differences. Murray, for one, was involved in a tie, which is kind of absurd. So,
Oh,
yeah.
it was a tie down to the centisecond, which I learned
Mhm.
is in fact not a millisecond. Um, the timers we use do go to centiseconds, not milliseconds.
It's
Milliseconds would be
true.
one more digit. They were tied down to the centisecond though. It was incredible. It was incredible that
Mathematics
I
with
had to.
Wasabi Night.
It was incredible that I had to look that up, for a
Yeah.
race. I was like, someone was like, "Oh, it was down to the millisecond." I'm like, "Dang, is that really milliseconds there?" And it wasn't. But it was,
Yeah.
the fact that that even came up is incredible. And it turns out, as they enter the ancestral mound, despite all the differences in RNG, only only 1 second between them, really.
Yes, and this is the point as which we give a massive shout out to Rixian, who has timelessly kept time for this entire tournament without being asked. He has provided just absolutely all of the best timekeeping to everybody. So, like, give Rixian your shout outs, give him your virtual hugs. He is an angel in this community. But yeah, they're really close at this point. They're going to be heading into the Balder RNG here. It's a 50% chance to get a useful Balder spit or non-useful infection spit, as we saw Murray got 3 of those there. On current patch, you have to do 2 of those boulders, but we get to sort of skip the second one, so it's nice.
So not only does Edu get the faster Baldur spit there by 1 second, but he also did not have to heal. Murray
Hmm.
decided to take a heal because he didn't manage to get to full HP after False Knight. I think he probably opted to collect some more Geo rather than heal, because it is rather easy to heal to full no matter what, unless you're going for that extra Geo. That extra Geo can make a difference. It does only put him 1 Geo ahead of Edu, so we'll
Yeah.
see exactly how worthwhile that was.
Yeah, and may have just been feeling behind in general. That's the thing is geo-routing and all skills in the early game is particularly practiced, but once you get past the middle point of the game, it's not too big of a deal. However, early on, you do want to be very mindful of your geo numbers, as we're going to need to get scammed by Nailmaster Oro for a dash slash.
Interesting. Even though they ended, or they started that ancestral mound only 1 second apart. Oh no, Murray misses that first fireball skip. Doesn't quite get the jump there.
Unfortunate.
Um, Loses about 4 seconds there. I was gonna say, even though Murray was only 1 second ahead coming into mound, Edu must have missed some very small movement, because
Yeah.
Murray got the worst Balder and he had to bench, and he still ends up a second ahead coming out. So I
Right.
don't know where he got that time save from, but he managed to not lose any time to Edgy there. However, I think that fireball skip is going to make the difference.
Yeah, and it looks like, according to Rixian, reporting these slight time differences, the lead has swung 3 seconds, putting Edu2 in the lead, and that just sort of shows the consistency of the early game. I mean, both of these runners, there's so many little tiny optimizations you can do, but both of these runners are very practiced overall, and it takes something on the order of missing one of these fireball skips to really allow things to go awry.
Yeah, and it's honestly really cool to see just like this. This is a interesting demonstration of how time saves and time losses almost become exponential as the run goes on. In the early game,
Mhm.
we're just talking about 2 seconds for a grudge drop hit, maybe 2-3 seconds for an aspid fail, and then it jumps immediately to, oh no,
Oh
another missed
no.
fireball skip for Murray. Ooh,
Oh,
and he makes
jinkies.
the choice to try to save it with a backup. Doesn't quite get it. Now he's gonna go for the man pogo, which he does look in prime position for.
Oh
And he
no!
misses that
He
too.
missed dude
Takes some
Pogo.
damage even. He's gonna be losing
That's
quite a
quite
bit of time.
unfortunate. Yeah, and as you can see, like Iju already in that next room, um, heading up. We need 8 or 9 hits of soul to sort of just knock the socks off of this Moss Knight. But yeah, that is really unfortunate, likely quite frustrating for Muri back there.
Yeah, that was what I was getting at, was in the early game, the time loss can seem so significant, just 2 or 3 seconds. But then as soon as you get into green path, those 2 and 3 seconds stop mattering almost immediately as fireball skips become important. Later on, we'll
Yeah,
be seeing E-Pogo, which every fail for E-Pogo will lose 4 seconds. Every missed Mantis Pogo could lose up to 10, 20 seconds.
right.
And, you know, we go to Umu, which, yeah, the same deal there. Every missed cycle, 18 seconds. And
Yeah.
it's just funny to see how quickly those early seconds stop mattering.
Right, exactly. And that's just like, that is totally a mental thing in the end, because when you are in a non-race setting, you can just sort of reset. You can just say, all right, I'm done with this. I'm not dealing with this run. But in this case, you just have to keep going. And yeah, you're going to see both of them fight the Moss Knights here. These are our famed all-skills Moss Knights. We need them for a lot of Geo. Pro tip, if you're ever playing a rando or something, you need Geo, head up to the Green Path Moss Knights. They are very friendly. Okay, so now we're
This
gonna
Hornet
fight
fight
Hornet
could
1.
be quite exciting. There's 2 main strategies here. One involves pushing Hornet backwards and getting double hits on her, just like Edu did there. And then waking her up with a fireball if you have the extra soul. He's missing a couple of nail hits here, so kind of missing out on the big benefit.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Whew,
Yeah,
that was still a
that was
fast
a little dicey.
despite those missed nail hits, and he will be finishing over 10 seconds ahead of Muri here. It looks like almost 15 seconds ahead.
Yeah,
Quite a
Rick's noting
significant
they're
lead,
about
considering.
15 seconds apart into the Hornet fight. So it seems basically that um, that lead has somewhat continued throughout. And it looks like they're 16 seconds apart now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to be heading into the Mantis Claw split. And something about that, I mean, we've just quit back to our mentioned mound. This is a split that is commonly a fan favorite among runners because you get to do some kind of fun movement. There's some interesting tricks in here. You get to slide down walls because you don't have claw. But there are several tricks, as Sabi has already sort of alluded to. We have our Mantis Pogo. We also have Explosion Pogo. And those are tricks that, you know, runners are very, very practiced at. You probably won't see too many issues, but once again, if you mess them up, it can be frustrating, and especially Mantis Pogo. I really doubt we'll see any sort of missed E-Pogo here, but Mantis Pogo can be a 10, 20-second time loss if you just can't get those Mantises to cooperate.
Yeah. Muri has, by the way, invented his own version of the
Yes,
E-Pogo. It is one of the
Wii
fast
Pogo.
versions, so he is not allowed to miss it, basically. Um, that's not
No,
true.
Murray has not gone for Wii Pogo in several races, so it does seem that he may or may not betray his brand. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting about this split is there's no real RNG here.
Hmm.
There's the enemy behaviors are all consistent, or there's a small bit of RNG. There's the mushroom at the top before the mantis claw, but
Yeah.
other than that, all the enemies are basically in the exact same places. Oh, there are these mushrooms coming up on the geo farming. But speaking of geo farming, I did notice Edu's actually a little behind on geo here. You typically want to be at about Murray's count, 310, before even starting to hit those geo rocks and the mushrooms there. So Edu might have to make some of this geo up in the city of Tears somewhere. Did both of them go for Weepo go there?
Yeah, that was great. Both of them did
That
it.
was awesome. I didn't expect
Um,
that from Edu, but we got
no, that
2
was
Weepo
awesome.
goes.
It was also
That
just so cool side by side.
yeah, that was great.
That was fantastic.
And now
Yeah.
we have our Mantis Pogo here. You got to dash in, dash out. Make sure you bounce on those
Nice.
Mantises to get up here. Can be a
Both
huge time
runners
loss
looking
if you
very
fail
good.
that. So clean from both of them.
Yeah. And that's just that is what you see in the tournament. Now that we're in these losers quarters, you're seeing really impressive play. Both these runners kind of making a strong case of like, why would you send me home? But it has to be one of them, unfortunately. So yeah, but great to see a lovely wee pogo and then a well executed mantis pogo from both.
And now that this time loss between them seems to have stabilized, I think we can talk about like where we could expect Murray to maybe make back some of this time. And the first place is definitely in my mind going to be the Soul Sanctum split. So much can go
Mhm.
wrong there. Unlike it's the opposite of the Mantis Claw split. Although there is a lot of movement-based stuff there, primarily it is going to be dealing with enemies, namely a single Soul Twister that guards the entrance.
Yep.
Edu takes a hit there. It's not really going to matter. They do heal up after this,
Mhm.
regardless of their status. But there's going to be a soul twister that guards the entrance to Soul Sanctum that has to be killed. A soul warrior that they kill for Geo, because they do have a way around it with
Mhm.
dash slash, but they do want to kill it for Geo because it's just such a fast kill for 200 Geo. And then there's the Soul Master himself, the king of RNG, the king of teleports and fake dives. You can easily lose 10 seconds on that fight just from getting a bad start. So really going to be looking towards that split in terms of where Murray can catch up and or
Yeah.
where Edu could even extend this lead.
Yeah, and it's important to note actually that Edu does hold the comp sub for that split specifically. And while there is a lot of RNG, I know that he has
Oh
like grinded it super hard. Oh, missing those photos there. That's quite unfortunate. It's just the last one.
no,
Has grinded that split.
I think actually he missed a shade, or I think we didn't see him miss a spell
Oh,
earlier
did
on
he
because
miss a fireball at the beginning? Oh,
yeah, because
geez,
he
that's
went
real
for a
tough.
fireball towards the end, and I didn't know why until I realized the Gruz was taking way too many hits.
Yeah, and that was
Uh,
a really rough cleanup there too from Edu. So Murray will likely make up some time on this front as well.
yeah. I wish I had been paying more attention at the beginning of that fight for Edgy, because I I thought he had all of it done correctly. I looked at it and it seemed like he hit all three fireballs, but it does look like he must
Yeah.
have missed some if he went for the fireball then. Either that or he accidentally pressed the fireball button. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's what happened.
Oh my gosh, Spirity noting that Edu has made 1,000 attempts at the Desolate Dive split. That is dedication. Okay.
Oh, we're seeing Murray attempt the
Is he
Blue
attempting
Lake
the
wall
walkling
cling storage,
storage?
but he did
Oh my
not get it.
gosh.
Meaning he loses some time on the setup and then doesn't get the benefit of that time save
Unfortunate.
back. Oh, we see Edu going for it as well. He gets it.
Edu gets it. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my lord. It is one of those things that saves like half a second, but it is so cool to watch.
I've
Um,
I've heard so many different times for how much time that saves. I've heard it saves as little as like 0.2 and as much as 3 seconds. So
oh
I
my
am actually
gosh.
not entirely certain. There might have been some evolution there as people found slightly faster setups, but whatever happens there. All right, Rhino,
Wow.
who has done extensive testing, says about 2 full seconds. Um,
Okay.
and that's with perfect execution, though. And personally, I'm not well versed enough to say to talk about how
No, nor am
Edu's
I.
education was, or execution, education. Did I say
Education.
execution?
Education. Excellent. No, but it was very cool to watch nonetheless. And overall, just like really fun to see in a race. Um, but yeah, both of them will be heading down to King Station, taking this bench. We're gonna go beat up the rich lad of the city, the gorgeous husk, for a very dank 420 geo, and then sort of running some errands around city for the next part of the run.
Right here is one of my favorite movement tricks. We just saw Murray do it. The fastest way to get up here is to pogo that. Ha! I really shouldn't have talked about it. A little unlucky for Edu there, but
Absolute curse from Sabi. You hate to see it.
if you jump up just right next to that and you neutral pogo the husk there, you will be able to jump to pogo dash over it. And it saves you from having to do a wall cling there, which is significantly slower. But and Edu, in fact, after missing it, has to do a few wall clings to get back up there.
Yeah, unfortunate just because it is very cool and you hate to see such things cursed by a commentator. But thankfully they're going to be able to run, grab the Geo, and head out. So now we're going to go into Dash Slash. And the reason that we get this early on in 1-2-2-1 is because it allows us to do a bunch of lever skips, particularly in Sanctum, but like, it's helpful all over the place.
Yeah. Rixian points out what I was about to say. Edu suffering from some somewhat considerable time loss there, losing about half of his lead, primarily to that first trick that he missed, and then also he miscalculated his damage on the Golden Husk. He shot a fireball and then turned away from the Golden Husk and went to go collect Geo, but the Husk hadn't died, and he had to go back for it
Yeah,
and finish it off. And that
and that
there
is
cost
quite
him
unfortunate.
time. Yeah. Oh, that actually puts this race much closer, but now we're seeing...
Yeah, only 6 seconds apart.
Yeah, now we're seeing them farm up some Geo on these Great Hoppers. They need to have 800 Geo by the end of the split to buy Great Slash, or they will literally need to
Great
go back
Slash.
and farm more Geo, or Dash Slash.
Yeah.
Great Slash is free, Dash Slash is not. Don't forget it.
Yep, Great Slash is free because the ultimate thing is you're spending enough money on Pure Nail to ensure gay pride that Great Slash comes at no additional cost. But yeah, in this case, Dash Slash, utter scam, yet very useful. I've heard many runners say, well, look, for the amount that it could do, I pay 800 Geo for Dash Slash any day. So they're getting there, but yeah, with only 6 seconds apart and Murray continuing to pick up time, it does just show how, like, in the end, while no big movement thing is going to make or break the race, you can just make up a ton of time by, just being the one that makes fewer mistakes, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that will make it. That will make a significant difference here, even in this split. Another 2 seconds gone over to Murray. I saw you miss a couple of dashes at the end, and just tiny little movement stuff like that could make the difference. I would love to see a race where that would make the difference. I'm sure Edu would hate for that to be the difference.
Yes, I mean you can talk to some people who lost races by minuscule amounts. Murray having a bit of trouble with that Spire Pogo there, getting it on the backup. To minuscule amounts. I mean, for example, I think of a good friend of mine, Sierra, who lost a race in her mind by talking to Elderbug and saying hi to Mila. She is now a Mila killer and commissioned a mod to kill Elderbug. So that just goes to show sometimes it can really be emotionally tough.
Yeah. We did see Murray struggling quite a bit with this first lever skip here. The lever skip being one of the most important early game tricks in a lot of runs. It is exclusive to this patch, and wow, that was some great soul farming.
Yeah,
And a
holy
great
cow.
lever skip.
That was awesome.
Edu's here to show off his Comsob split. He's not messing up. That was just perfect execution on all of that. He gets the lever first try, gets 2 hits on... Oh, and Murray does miss a little bit of not Geo, but a nail hit and a
Yeah,
fireball.
unfortunate. It's that teleport. Though actually we aren't in Edu's Consob yet because we've got to go get Shade Soul first.
You're right.
Yes, though it is a whole different thing. Here in 1-2-2-1 with these lever skips, not only can we lever skip in, but also in later patches, Team Cherry made this a separate room, so you couldn't even go into the transition lever skip or otherwise. So we're allowed to get Shade Soul very early here, which is going to let us just absolutely demolish some of these early game bosses, though the RNG will be frustrating nonetheless. But it's super, super helpful to us, and it's something that I would say current patch runners, though they run on the comfy patch, are fairly jealous of.
Yeah, the Hell Room being one of the most significant. I don't know if you already talked about that. Did I miss that?
Oh, I didn't mention, but go ahead, yeah.
Okay. There is a room with 3 completely vile soul twisters. They're probably the 3 most hated enemies in the entire game. If you're running
Hmm.
106%, 112%, you have to go through these guys, and people lose runs to them all the time. They'll heal up
Yeah.
to 5 HP just in case they get bullied, and they'll still die. And that's how wild it is. And this dash slash ability is going to enable us, on this patch at least, to completely skip by them. Murray's in danger.
We're really having a little bit of trouble with these wall jumps. It does seem that at this point Edu is about 10 seconds ahead, simply by virtue of having a really clean Shade Soul split, and Murray having some mishaps along the way. But yeah, Edu, having run this specific split 1,000 times, is likely going to be relatively prepared for whatever comes his way.
Mhm. And as much as he's run the split, there is still RNG time loss
Oh,
potentially coming his way
absolutely.
in the Soul Master. He's played out of his mind. He hasn't done hardly anything wrong. Going in on 2 HP can be a little scary. If he wants the fastest possible Soul Master, he needs to hold on to these 2 HP. He can't take a single hit.
Hmm.
Because the Soul Master fight, if you're going as fast as possible, oh, he heals up there, actually.
Yeah, but that
And
was a really clever heal to take, as doing it simultaneously while absorbing the soul container allowed him to not lose all of the soul he'd normally lose.
yeah, Murray's having a kind of a slow fight. I didn't see the start, but I can assume that Soul Master bullied him and did not give him what he wanted at the beginning.
No, it did not seem like it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what kind of fight Edu gets here. There is a quick kill on Soul Master, but it's very, very tight, and requires good RNG. But you can kill him
Ooh.
very quickly nonetheless. That was very, very good first phase from Edu right there. And heading into the second phase should be relatively well set up. 2 HP shouldn't be too big of a deal here, as Soul Master only has about 100 health and dies very quickly.
Yeah, he really wants to hold on to that 1 HP until he intentionally face tanks, though. Because if he
Hmm.
gets it any earlier than that, that face tank is going to kill him, and he
Oh
didn't.
my gosh.
Oh, that was unfortunate. The second Shade Soul just didn't finish him off. I think he miscounted how many nails he had hit the
Stop, the
Soul
stream
Master with.
froze for me.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that, but Edu
Oh my
actually
gosh, I didn't see it!
Edu took a death. Yeah. He got 5 nail hits in. He got both Shade Souls in, but it's 6 nail hits and 2 Shade Souls that are required to finish off the Soul Master.
So tragic. Holy
And
cow, I feel so bad.
it's actually crazy
Oh,
because he was playing
jeez.
out of his mind. I did
No,
I
I mean,
he
that
was
was insane.
he was doing a strat that I've not even seen where he wall
No,
clings.
that wall click strat was bonkers.
Yeah, he's wall clinging onto the wall while hitting the Soul Master and not getting hit. Normally, when you're in that position, you're intentionally face tanking to finish the Soul Master off. But he was avoiding that face tank while still
Yeah.
farming soul. It was such a brilliant strategy,
Oh,
only to be ruined by
it was
a
so cool.
single a single nail hit being missed. It's
That
tragic.
is that is something that you really hate to see. Um, I wow, I don't know whether or not I'm glad that my stream froze. That was tragic. I mean, I guess in a terribly like commentator's cruelty way, we do get to see a really wonderful Sanctum execution again from Iju. So like that's pretty cool.
Oh,
But it also sucks because he died right at the end of a split where he would have been he would have been hard saved. So he's got to go through all of this again. Fortunately.
yeah, it's one of those like maximum time loss deaths where
Hmm.
essentially you have to redo almost everything that you did on the way in. The Soul Warrior being one exception and the Soul Twister early on being another, but outside of just a few levers that will already be open from basically just redoing
Yep.
the entire split
Same
over
old,
again.
same old. Got to go through the same rooms, do the same things, though it does seem to have, I mean, far fewer struggles with RNG right there in that room. So that is like kind of a nice pat on the back, but I mean, it absolutely has to suck for Ichi right now, especially having done such a good job in Sanctum this entire time. Like a real Jinkies moment.
Yeah, and
And
because
doesn't
the
get those soul
soul,
jars here either, which is unfortunate.
yeah, so the second fight's gonna be quite a bit slower no matter what he does. He does get a double hit very early on, which is nice. Very close to getting another there. He has an opportunity for a double here,
Yeah.
guaranteed. Perfect. That was still a really fast fight considering the lack of soul jars there.
Yeah. I mean, that was awesome, and I just think that that goes to show when you do something
Oh,
1,000 times, like, yeah, and does that whole soul farming thing again. I mean, like, it just goes to show you do it 1,000 times, and you're pretty prepared, for whatever is thrown your way.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Man, that soul farming strat, I really have to say, is just brilliant. It does have
Hmm.
its risks, I suppose. This time, though, he does make sure he gets all 6 of those nail hits in to
And
finish
just
off.
had so much more health going in. Like that was the other thing is it was going to be hard for Iju either way entering that fight on lower health. But yeah, Rixie and Noting they're about 2 minutes apart at this point, which is very unfortunate considering just like Iju played so well outside of missing one nail hit and just got utterly punished. Um, but we are heading into
Mhm.
Crystal Peak. That is a very consistent split. But it's one of those things where since Peak specifically is very cycles based, if you get off cycle, things can go a little bit haywire. And you've just got to be prepared for that. And you've also got to manage your health really, really well because you just need to hold on to things and be ready for some damage tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, and Murray already being somewhat the favorite for this race,
For
being such
sure.
a long-term veteran, uh, like being such a long-term veteran and having such a fast-paced PV, knowing what he's capable of, there's no place where Edu is going to be able to save 2 minutes on Murray
No,
against Murray's run here, provided that Murray does not make a mistake of
equal
equal time
magnitude,
loss.
yeah.
Yeah, magnitude. Thank you.
Yeah,
That is.
chat just sort of noting that we need to see basically like a mound or just before C dash death to have some sort of time loss of that magnitude because in the end, like, yeah, Murray is very practiced, very, very, very skilled in this category. And it's not that Iju isn't, he absolutely is, but Murray's not going to leave him the breathing room he needs to make up a full 2 minutes. And so we're going to need to see something pretty unfortunate to make this race as close as it needs to be. But both runners are just going to continue playing their best, and we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff.
I'm gonna go ahead and get Murray's audio in here. Edu was significantly in the lead before that. We try to keep tabs on who's in the leads,
Yes, good points, good points.
just so that we can make sure that we have the audio cues required to hear. We'll be seeing Murray now go through several places like the dark room where sound cues and stuff can be so important.
Hmm.
Uh, Not necessarily a dark room. Um, there's a few things that we'll need to hear coming up.
Right, and plus, in general, some great music. I don't know, Crystal Peak music is one of those that I just randomly get stuck in my head and really enjoy. But Hollow Knight overall is blessed by an excellent OST, so it'll be enjoyable to hear Murray bring us into new musical lands as he goes across Helena.
So Murray, I did notice, took one hit of damage in Crossroads before you managed, or maybe in King
Hmm.
Station, before you managed to get over here. It was Crossroads. Um, and somewhere along the way, he did take another damage. He does opt for Damageless Cycle, which is slightly slower, but much safer considering that they have still a long way to go through the D-Dark split after this.
Right. And
We'll pick
Rhino
up.
noting in chat that, like, if you're Murray, you're taking a lot of safety strats here. It makes so much sense because you have almost a 2 minute lead and you're fighting for elimination. In the end, it's not about getting a personal best. I mean, Murray's probably not happy with all the mistakes he's made, especially in the early game. But it's about getting that win because it's what keeps you in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't believe Murray is one of the racers who watches runs though, so there's a high possibility that he
That's
doesn't
actually true. Yeah.
that he doesn't know that he's ahead here, and he doesn't know exactly how these safety strats are going to pay off. And it's funny to say, but in a race where you're really looking to win, a safety strat can be quite nerve-wracking to do because
Oh
you
yeah.
never know, unless you're looking, if that safety strat could cost you the win in the end.
Yes.
Fortunately, though, I don't think he's going to be doing anything major. Like, I don't think he's going to be taking the Hornet to camp
Bench
bench,
now.
for example, that loses 10 seconds. Just be a second here, a couple seconds there.
Yeah.
No big deals. Should be totally fine.
Murray saving the grub. You love to see it. It's our all skills grub. There is no reason not to save it. If you don't save the grub, I want to have a long conversation with you, and that basically means I am a debater. I want to debate you. Save the grub. But Murray heading into mound. Rhino noting actually that Murray does periodically check the stream. It seems so. It'll be interesting. Maybe Sabi and I will just get the opportunity to analyze as to whether or not we think Murray knows or how much. Um, but yeah, we'll be heading through Crystallized Mount here. This is the reason that we want to manage our health so carefully, or at least part of it, is that you do 7 hits on that shaman in the totem, and then you do the 8th as a dash slash, which allows us to do an early control that saves about 15 seconds. And yeah, Murray's gonna head out. We're heading down into resting grounds. This is sort of a reprieve. A lot of times you'll even see people head out of here on one mask. Although shoutouts to Taco TV for doing the very tragic early control on one mask. That you would hate to see. But we're heading into Dreamnail platforming here. These are the infamous Dream Plats. We get to skip a lot of them, but after that, we get to head to some more exciting parts of the run. So you get a little break here as we watch Edu move through Peak.
Yeah, it is important not to fall in these dream plats.
For sure.
Even with the C dash strat, most top runners are going to like to pull off the underplat strat.
You love to see it.
If you're going to go for like something as, I mean, it's not that Wii Pogo is inconsistent, but it's a 2 damage face tank. You know, if
Right.
you mess it up, it's a pretty
It's a
significant.
moment of sadness.
So if you're going to go for Wii Pogo, like you gotta go for the small stuff like these underplats here, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yes. I mean, in addition, Underplat, it has infinite swag. It makes you the coolest runner. It is good for the skin. 10 out of 10 people with skin things said that their skin cleared up after doing Underplat. So yeah, I mean, Murray does the Underplat. Look at him go. He's very cool. And now gets to go fight the Watcher Knights, which are thankfully not nearly as bad as the ones you'd see in your standard any percent or low percent fare.
Well, I got a bit nervous. I was thinking too much about Eduboy's death. I looked up and saw that he was only at 6 Geo, and I was like, oh god, where's he gonna make up all the Geo? I realized that it's perfectly normal to have, you know, anywhere from 0 to 10 Geo here. Just out of, because the only Geo that we'll need will be after the Watcher Knight's chest. Murray has even less than Edu,
Right.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
No,
only
we
Geo
get
that
to.
we need is from the Watcher Knight's chest, which they'll be collecting soon enough.
Yep, absolutely. It is funny. All skills is sort of night and day between before and after the King Station split. Beforehand, we are very judicious about where we're getting our geo, how we're spending our geo, but after that, it's like, haha, I open big box and get all I need. So, thankfully, we're pretty good from here on out. Murray's going to be heading into the Watcher Knights fights. Brief shout out to EG for saving the grub. But yeah, we've knocked down the chandeliers, so there's only 5 of them now, and we're just going to be de-darking them and hoping that they don't roll too much. Shoutouts to the newly re-added back roll on the current patch of the game.
Oh, let's not talk about that. We do see Murray getting a mediocre pattern, I'll say,
Yeah.
for that second set of Watcher Knights. And now this third one started off a bit rough, but he comes right back to him. They line up really nice for those Shade Zills and D-Darks.
Yes. Excellent, excellent handling. Yeah, there was a little bit of bouncy for a while there, but Murray got it completely under control. And so it looks like they're going to be approximately like I'm trying to find the proper unit of measurement here, but they're approximately like 2 major plot points apart in Seer and Lurian. So that's sort of the time difference now, but also about 2 minutes is where we're realistically at. Murray's gonna be heading up here and sort of beating up our first of 3 dreamers as we do go for the ending of the game in all skills. Some people get a bit confused. They're like, well, I thought it just ends when you get all the skills. No, we gotta beat the game too. So we're gonna beat up Lurian over here.
Yeah, and having these mandatory bosses really soothes the soul in terms of routing, I would say. Like,
Yeah,
it's the main reason why, when it comes to geo routing, basically, for the non-mandatory bosses, you have to decide which is worth it. Vengefly King, for example, the 60 geo you get from that. The Soul Warrior that drops 200 geo in the Soul Sanctum. These are all optional bosses. You don't have to kill them. And so always becomes such a chore to time these out. How much time does it cost to kill this boss? How much time does it save to collect all this geo here? And basically, these mandatory bosses like the Watcher Knights save a lot of trouble in that. It's like, well, we don't have to decide whether or not we're going to kill the Watcher Knights for geo because we
right.
have to kill them anyway.
Exactly. And that's the other thing, a pretty unique thing about all skills compared to a lot of other categories is that we never sell to Relic Seeker Lab. We don't have to because he's positioned pretty out of the way in the middle of city, and we don't really ever touch the left side of city, so we have pretty much no reason to go there. And it just saves us a lot of grief. So it's kind of pleasant to be able to just grab that big geo chest and sort of get through with it.
Hmm. And as we start focusing in more on the race itself rather than the difference between these two runners, would like to point out just smaller time losses that maybe the viewers would start to miss. Um, both of these runners got underplat, by the way, which was
Yeah, that's
fantastic. Fantastic in the dream sequence. I believe both of them went for it in C-Peaks as well. And now we're on to the Isma's tier skips, which starts off with the spike tunnel skip. Can be a
yep,
little
Murray getting its
scary.
second try.
Yeah. A little scary when you mess it up. You might start to second guess yourself. Oh god, do I remember how to do this split anymore?
Hmm.
Uh, sure enough, he remembers. Oh, that's just, I think, a bit early.
Yeah,
Oh,
unfortunate.
he's
So
definitely
these,
doing a slightly different strat than the one I'm used to seeing here.
yeah,
A little stressful. Okay.
Henriksen's words, Savi with the absolute curse. Um, uh-oh.
It looks like he's going for a setup on the Isma's tier split. It can be slightly slower to do that setup, but he does get it rather quickly.
Yeah, real nice. And so we hit that warp for early control and then we move out. Fun fact, if you get out of there fast enough before the text pop-up disappears, you will have a trail of green particles following you until you quit out, which is pretty fun. However, does not go for that, which is very fair, as he's going to be heading down into Ancient Basin. We have a nice little RNG C dash coming up, and then we're going to be going and fighting the Broken Vessel, which is a boss that really doesn't take too much to kill, but also can be annoying in terms of the ways things go if you mess something up. Though I was listening to Axe's stream, Axe being the world record holder of this category currently, and he just noted that it is a fight with very little RNG if you do everything.
Yeah. We did just see a little bit of RNG there on Murray. He got stopped on the bridge, on the broken bridge on the way to the ancient
Mm-hmm.
basin. Though he did get stopped by the first one, which is the one that you'd want to be stopped by if it was any of them, because there's a
Yes.
backup C dash that's almost as fast, and it does get him across there safely. Now we get a full heal before we even start the broken vessel split, which is brilliant when it comes to face tanking these Malarks. Face tanking, I believe the third Malark
Yes,
specifically.
the third.
The third Malark is optimal.
I know that from my casual playthrough where I died trying to get through all of the Malarks, I think more times than I died to the actual broken vessel. Um, I spent a lot of time killing each one individually so I could walk through, but we have to go fast, and so these Mullerks, you can get pretty consistent through all of them, though one of them you will have to face tank. There are a few different ways you can go about that, and we'll see Muri do that coming up here.
I would like to also take the time to mention that Edu managed to have a fairly good Watcher Knight fight, though he did end up losing some time there. Well, there is quite a bit of time to save for him.
Yeah.
You know, not enough to make the huge difference in the race, but maybe in case of a Muri death. I was
Right. And things not
interesting.
looking awesome here, being on 2 health. That's really not what you want to see exiting this room. Yeah, not truly.
Yeah, he definitely took more hits than he wanted to. I suspect he'll be just fine, especially with a heal
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
Just because the Broken Vessel fight is so scripted once you get to know it. And Edu now making Isma's tier skips, does get that first try. Pogo dash into the spike tunnel.
Yep. And Muri getting that headbang right away, executing the fight well thus far. We'll be going about it. Yeah, seems to look good. Yeah, that was a good fight from Muri. So nothing too bad there. But Edu is nailing these skips, which is nice. Will make him up a slight amount of time simply because Muri missed a number of them. But it's definitely not going to be nearly enough, especially with Muri handling that base and split well, not taking any sort of death.
Yeah, and he actually does miss the Warmp.
Yeah, real unfortunate.
The Warmp is the most cursed enemy in the Hunter's Journal for sure. Big old pufferfish, lots of RNG to their movements.
Terrible to pogo.
Yeah, sometimes they have knockback, sometimes they don't. You never really know when, as far as I know.
Yes, as somebody who really enjoys doing wings-based movement in randomizer, they are awful. It is something that will make you not feel so great about Royal Waterways in general. So yeah, it looks like they're about 1 ancient basin apart at this point, as Murray's going to be heading out, stagging to King Station to go say hello to Hornet 2.
Edu does save 21 whole seconds in that split. And also manages to get across that bridge without taking any damage and without being stopped with his C-dash. So that'll be a few seconds of time save there. There's some time save to be had on the Broken Vessel, because as we saw, Muri decided to heal, which did lead to a slightly slower end to the Broken Vessel fight. He had to go for a Shade Soul and a nail hit at the end of it rather than a normal dive. A few nail hits actually, just to build up soul even for that Shade Soul. Hold on. Yeah, there'll be a lot going on, but Muri is coming up on the most dangerous fight in all skills. The Hornet 2 fight. Taking her nice and slow isn't too much of a struggle, but when you're trying to do the maximum amount of damage output, it means you're always staying close to her. You're dashing back and forth, weaving through her attacks. Really focusing on trying to get in these double hit Shade Souls and D-Darks and... Ooh, Edge actually goes for the slightly slower Maulerk, where he doesn't damage tank at all. So he's going for hitless Maulerks, actually.
Yeah.
All the way up.
Utter calm curse right there. But 4 health is no matter at all. Probably, I doubt he'll elect to take a heal here. And just sort of, head out. Gets that base and skip second try. But yeah, here, Hornet 2 is a boss that even for the top runners can absolutely be a bully. She can parry your spells, which is a waste of your time, your soul, your energy, pretty much everything. And yeah, we're just gonna have to see how it goes from here.
There are a few things that can be done to mitigate the amount of spells that she'll parry. Specifically, attacking her mid-jump will mean that she never has the opportunity to get parries, just like that attack right there. Muri going for a few D-darts. Yeah, he actually does get that Shade Soul parried, which is, from what I hear, at least a 4-second time loss. He's going back, staggering her, D-darking her. really the key to this fight is maintaining distance, because if you stay too close, these Shade Souls will not double hit. And he did that very, very well. Not the fastest fight in the world, but absolutely acceptable and hitless. Not even close to being in danger there. Not for a moment. Very well practiced on that fight. And just as we finish up that fight with the Hornet, Edu finishes up the Broken Vessel fight. I didn't quite see how that went, but it did look like he actually lost some time there. I do wager that he must not have had too good of a fight if that was the case, because Murray's fight was also a little bit scuffed. Welcome back, Herm.
Yeah.
Hope your internet's okay.
I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody. I had to my Wi-Fi kept beating everything up. I switched Wi-Fi networks. I think we should be good for the rest of the race. But if you find Herm disappearance, that's probably why.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I assume it was good Hornet 2 for Murray back there?
Yeah, it wasn't the fastest fight in the world. He definitely missed a couple of potential doubles, got a Shade Soul parry right after I said that could be mitigated, of course.
Nice.
But yeah, otherwise a pretty great fight from him. Lots of D-Darks and no hits.
Well, you love to see that. That's pretty good stuff, you know? I mean, even really good fights are oftentimes not hitless against Hornet 2 just because of how crazy she can be. But yeah, now in terms of what's upcoming, Murray's going to be heading into what is the chillest split in all skills for the most part. I've always joked that, you know, if I was going to run all skills, I'd just do Cyclone/ILs because it's a lot of C-dashing. I mean, there's some cool movement tricks here and there, but it is very tame compared to what you've just seen in the last few splits of their run. So it's kind of a nice breather. But Iju will be heading in to Kingdom's Edge for a Hornet fight of his own. So it'll be kind of interesting to watch both.
Yeah, it is also quite interesting to have just the placement of the split. It is a breather between two of the most important segments of the game. Hornet 2, where you can have both a lot of RNG time loss and even a death if you play poorly enough. Right next to Umu, who, although is a fairly consistent boss in terms of, you know, having consistent backups for 1 cycles, as well as just, you know, a 1 cycle where essentially the boss fight will be the same every single time and is over in 1 phase. Despite him being a consistent boss, it's still so frustrating to deal with, because any missed input could mean 18 seconds lost. And that is just so painful to have to go through.
I've always enjoyed calling Umu the Iron Jellyfish because of its reputation, especially in other categories, for just seeming to be out of the runner's control. But in this case, yeah, as Sabi mentioned, there are pretty specific 1 cycle setups that these runners know how to follow. We don't get Shriek here, so we do have to do some finagling with Umu. We can't just be like, haha, I scream, and get on with it. But yeah, we're gonna see Murray, hopefully some execution, but as Sabi has mentioned, missing a 1 cycle on Umu is an 18-second time loss, and it's just painful. It just hurts a lot.
Wow, that seemed like a great finish to the fight for Eduboy. Only took 1 hit, and I just saw he was making sure there's a lot of more advanced moves, jumping over her dash and turning around to take advantage of the dash's momentum and essentially displacing Hornet to the other side of the map.
Right.
But making sure he got those doubles, knowing his stagger timers, keeping track of all that, seemed like a
really
great
nice work. Yeah.
Let's see if he saves any time.
Seems like he made up 5 seconds there, which definitely in the midst of a single boss fight is pretty nice stuff. And so good on Edu for really executing that best he could, which is very well. And yeah, we're gonna be seeing Murray head into Fog Canyon here towards Umu. We just have to do a few little bits of movement here. This is always where I shout out one of my good friends, both on the internet and in real life, Virgil, for notably saying, I hope a runner dies in the room before Umu and the runner subsequently dying. So bless Virgil for her absolutely terrible comm scores.
She was going for the double uncurse. Unluckily, found out that's not how that works.
Yes.
But we'll see Murray here performing the one cycle. I believe he goes for the standard all skills one cycle, which will be luring Umu to one of these upper platforms just to the right of where he's standing now,
Yeah.
pushing Umu out of bounds where Umu will be free to be double hit by every single Shade Soul.
And
Because
just getting it done.
every object in this fight essentially stops Umu's knockback, and knockback is the key to getting Shade Soul doubles. We actually does go for that fancy C dash there. I did forget that.
Yeah, that's nice. And I mean, a brief fun fact about Umu,
2, 3,
just
4
recently
push out of bounds.
some,
Excellent.
yes, really good one cycle. Recently, it was finally done. A Tasser has proven that you can kill Umu with an Uma core. It is terrifying. If you enjoy the anxiety of an Uma core just floating around, go ahead and watch it. But that was a fabulous fight from Murray right there, getting some wall cling storage heading out as well. Really nice work overall. And just, yeah, once again, leaving Iju no breathing room here.
Yeah, that's about, other than a potential death in Beast End, which it looks like Murray, outside of just a couple of splits, Green Path for him was rough. Not Soul Sanctum, but Isma's Tier was for him a bit rough. But outside of those two split, Murray's play has been pretty immaculate here.
Yeah, I am realizing there is sort of a dramatic irony in the fact that for both of these runners, their comm splits were their worst splits. Murray struggling greatly in the green path portion of the run, um, and then Iju dying in Sanctum.
Just the pressure of having all those expectations, I guess.
Exactly. That's how it is. You've expected yourself to perform at such a high level because you could do that specific split better than anyone else. Um, but then also, yeah, with that comes the pressure, the fear of failure as such.
Yeah, I actually do doubt that that's what happened with Murray, just because fireball skips being missed. That can happen to
No, that
anyone.
is much smaller than
Yeah.
Iju, of course. No, Murray is just that happens in the end. Green path is such a precise and short split. Um, but yeah, there is some irony in there. But in the end, Murray has really played tremendously. Yeah, Rixian noting that Murray has extended his lead by 8 seconds on the Cyclone split and is questioning that. I'm really interested as to where that came from because that's not an easy split to get 8 seconds on.
That is quite interesting. I wasn't watching too much either
No,
player on those splits, just because
as
while
one does
while
not.
while
It's
Murray
Cyclone.
while Murray was doing Cyclone Slash, I believe Edgy was entering the Hornet fight, and while Edgy was doing Cyclone Slash, Murray was busy with Umu. Always something going on.
Exactly. But
It's not
yeah.
impossible to lose time there. You can, lose time going for a C dash by the Venge Flies. You can get hit by one or two Bell Flies or Aspids on the way out if you're not too
Yeah.
careful. Did you angering an Uma there, but not
Oh boy.
taking any consequences. Avoids the explosion.
Dancing with bombs.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll head in here, and then Murray's gonna do the green path of pain, as I like to call it, as many do. Another shout out to everybody's favorite Pride Month run, Happy Couple, and to the upcoming fundraiser for that. But yeah, this is another fan favorite split among runners, as there's very little RNG, and it's sort of just a cool opportunity to really precisely use all the movement that we've picked up as we move through to Shio.
Yep. And you just skip right up there with a couple of wings jumps and wall clings. Quite easy. In the meantime, we see Edu going. Looks like we do have an extra attack here. It's going to
Yeah,
be a
really
little
unfortunate.
painful to try to lure Umu back to the correct
Ooh.
position. Looks like not really cooperating. We'll see if he can get it now.
Yeah, that's gonna be a missed one cycle.
I,
Very unfortunate, just once again not getting that nail hit from what I saw. And so it is extremely precise to save one cycle with an extra attack in there, and it's just something that like can just be so difficult to mitigate.
yeah, it looked like Umu just ended up too high to allow. Oh, okay.
Oh, I think Iju thought that he had it there and didn't. Thankfully getting
I,
it though.
yeah, I actually thought he might have just missed the wings that he intended to go for.
Yeah.
Because he definitely didn't have the Shade Soul damage. He didn't even
No.
fire a second Shade Soul off the second half of that first cycle. So I'd be surprised if he thought Umu would die there.
Yeah, it's very possible that he just sort of missed movement. And yeah, that is really an unfortunate fight for Iju, especially because Murray's Umu was just textbook in its cleanliness. And like, yeah, once again, it's going to take some sort of very severe death that would involve mistakes Murray's frankly unlikely to make for this race to swing any sort of way, because Murray has just, I mean, you have to credit him, has just played very well since getting this lead. He is not really allowed anything to be relinquished.
Yeah, just about 20 seconds in Isma's and 5 seconds in Hornet is all he's really given up. And he's made that back just as quickly over the past couple of splits.
Yeah, and it looks like, according to Rixian, there are over 30 seconds of lead were gained in that sort of time between Cyclone and the Dreamnail on Monomon, and that just really shows just how crazy a missed one cycle and an extra track and all these things adding up can be.
Yeah, actually it's pretty significant considering that. Yeah, only 20 seconds of that comes from the fight, so maybe 10 seconds lost to just pure movements.
All right. Yeah, and so now we're going to see Muri heading into QG. We sort of lever skip into there, and we are going to be heading around. And at this point, like, we're just going to go through QG, down into Deepness, and we're looking at, soon enough, closing out the run. We've got this sort of segment, and then going into the Abyss, and then we're heading to the final boss. But yeah, Murray's gonna head through here. We do have some pretty major dark rooms coming up, but these runners are very practiced in there, and so we shouldn't see that be too much of an issue.
Yeah, although Deepness sounds scary, I believe the most threatening dark room is certainly the one in Crystal Peaks. There's just so many spikes there and such tiny platforms. The Deepness ones are absolutely forgiving by comparison. Pretty big corridors.
You're just moving down as well for the first one especially. Yeah, like you're able to move through. Many folks, myself included, are very intimidated by the fact of dark Deepness, but these runners, they know what they're up against, and so are very practiced in this case.
I do like this transition. As you're going down from the Queen's Gardens into Deepness, you can already see the dark closing in on you.
It's very well designed.
Yeah, you get to this suffocating blackness here. And we actually see a Cyclone Slash, which is nice.
Nice, yeah.
Oh, and he ends his fall early to dash to the left there. Or ends his inventory drop, I should say.
That is just
Saves
fine.
just a little bit of time and avoids a potential hit from, what are they called? Tiny spiders? Not
the
Deeplings.
There's deeplings, yeah. There's the weaverlings, the deeplings, and the little weavers. Yeah. Thanks, Team Cherry, for that incredible naming system. And yeah, Valar in chat actually noting that Iju got 2 extras on Umu, so that's just really adding insult to injury. That's very painful. But yeah, once again, Murray's heading into Beast Den here. We do that little skip so we don't have to deal with the trap bench and the cutscene. And it's just gonna go beat up Hera. Murray's on a quest here and is not letting up in any way.
It is sad to talk about the position Edgy was in. Having already be behind, like, it's possible to get a 1 cycle even with an Umu extra attack
It
in a
is, for
consistent
sure.
way, but it's just something that Murray didn't even have to deal with, didn't have to think about at all.
Mhm.
Which is just quite unlucky because Edgy was already behind, probably already looking to, have a time save, at least maybe catch up to a time that he thinks is respectable, and he just gets that thrown in his face. And then, upon missing the 1 cycle, gets another extra attack immediately afterwards.
Right.
Quite a frustrating
Mm.
position.
Yeah,
I applaud
absolutely. And
Edgy for pushing through that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing is I think that we just have seen like so much mental resolve from these runners throughout the tournament because they've had to deal with things not going their way in the manner of RNG. They've had to deal with mistakes that they would normally just sort of delete through a reset and run away from. And that is the mental resilience we've mentioned several times throughout this race of just being able to push through and say, okay, I'm going to keep running.
That was actually, I didn't see. Did he not C-dash on the way in? It looked like there was some extra squits in the arena. Handled him just fine.
I think that he missed the C dash initially, and got some funky things that may have attracted the squits in there. But yeah, it was very, very heads up play because those squits can kind of just be like, haha, hit me when you don't have to, because there can be bonus ones that don't actually unlock the arena. So yeah, way to go on Iju's part, just knowing which ones needed to be hit there.
I mean, actually, it looked like he took them all out regardless, but he just did it in a pattern that, man, he might be
Yeah,
used to doing something like that because it looked like his just normal attack pattern naturally swept them all up in it.
yeah, then yeah, really good on him.
We're gonna see a wall cling storage from Murray, hopefully. 8 nail
Let's
swings
hope.
and a dash.
Nice.
Little bit early. He does get it, but I'm not quite the momentum he's looking for.
Yeah, not as swaggy as you'd normally want, but got there, and that's what counts. We'll be heading into the abyss here. This is sort of the final skills that we need to pick up, being the Shade Cloak, which is our upgraded dash, and Abyss Shriek, which is upgraded Howling Wraiths, and that will be sort of our bread and butter when it comes to damage against THK, the final boss. Each are actually missing that Thorn Warp twice. That is very unfortunate. It's a 1-2-2-1 thing, allows us to abuse some hazard respawn, but like, Jinkies
Oh,
really not getting it. I think he's gonna go take the bench here, which I don't blame him for at this point, but that
I
is a true Jinkies moment.
yeah, I'm honestly not entirely sure what was wrong there. It looked like he was in the right place.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
slightly
thought
too
so
far to
too.
the left, but it looked like he kept going farther and farther to right just to try to mitigate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about to say, are we sure he's on the right patch? I mean,
Right, exactly. I mean, we saw lever skips with our own eyes, right?
true. Yeah, ignore those lowers.
He's playing on rando. He's modded. He has the lever skips, but not everything else. No, gets the hazard warp there. Murray entering the luscious spa of the void, quitting out, and it's all good. But yeah, Iju finally getting that thorn warp. Yeah, in the end, you need to take that. You need to take that bench because taking a death here in QG is just beyond annoying.
Yeah, and even like theoretically, he could have gone around there and done the alternative to the lever skip, the current patch way, right? But and done
Mhm.
that on 1 HP. But doing that on 1 HP just means
Oh
that you now
no.
have to go hitless through all of Deep Nest, and that would
Yeah,
just be a nightmare.
exactly.
Or
And I mean,
I guess
even
you
that
could
little
find
section
a
of
heal.
platforming itself, like just even if you mess up once there, it's very fair to just grab that bench and feel secure because at this point you're just about finishing it out and you don't want to worry about taking a death here in QG, especially heading through Dark Nest. But yeah, Mari's
Yeah,
gonna head, grab Shriek, and then go for Abyss Climb.
yeah, and we like I definitely don't blame it for taking that bench at all. Like you like not only would it be so rough to try to make it through everything hitless, almost a ridiculous thing to try, but already with the death he's taken, he knows he's probably not going to win this race no matter what. May as well just make it through here safely possible.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's Shriek for Muri going to head through Abyss Climb, which is a very popular individual level in the game. Sort of just another very cool segment of movement where you just sort of use everything you have. Um, and then it's gonna head up and finish this out.
And we're gonna see a nail out here to speed up the break on that wooden plank there for Edu. Meantime, we're coming up on the triple spike pogo here. Coolest part of the Abyss
Real
Climb, in my
nice.
opinion. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that was a great climb from Muri right there. And just
Absolutely
we'll
nailed
get out. I think we've seen some really statement segments from Muri here. Just sort of very, very clean play. Obviously, as we've mentioned, like there are a few moments, there's no skips in NBV, but like other than that, just has really asserted himself in this race.
Yeah, we're gonna start thinking about his pace here. I think there's about 2 minutes left on the run. So we're gonna be looking at here probably a 51:30, which does make sense. He lost about 20 seconds on Hornet, uh, 20 seconds in Green Path alone. And then, small time losses elsewhere adding up. Not the fastest Soul Master fight. So yeah, about a minute and a half behind his PB, sounding about right.
Yeah. And really nothing to be ashamed of in a race setting where you can't reset, where you have to deal with your mistakes as you go. Just, I think that Muri should definitely be patting himself on the back today for having a really strong race.
I'm sure Herm will be right back. But as she was saying, Murray has had an incredibly strong race to finish within a minute and a half of a PB in a race, especially when your PB is as good as Murray's. Pretty intense.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like for these top runners, getting a PB is not just contingent upon playing really well or making very few mistakes. It's also just about like, I mean, it's about how you feel. It's about like what you've got in terms of nerves, what you've got in terms of RNG, like so many different things. Because there's a lot of precision that's required at this rate.
Now we're going to be seeing Murray do the Hollow Knight fight, final fight of the game. Going to be using this Shriek spell that we've just acquired right at the end of the last split.
Highest damage in the game besides a Cyclone Slash with Pure Nail. So we're just going to scream in his face.
Yeah, and he's actually getting these screams really well. Not too many dashes. I saw even a nail hit stagger into a Shriek.
Yeah.
It's perfect to see.
Really well played.
Now he's face taking a bit, which is normal in this fight, but it can be a bit dangerous. Oh, we do just scream skip right at the end to finish it off.
That was great.
Had you in a bit of a scary position on the right in the meantime.
Oh Lord, in the sibling climb.
Oh my goodness. He makes it through.
And my stream froze. Oh Jinkies. Okay.
Edu should be safe. Murray should be finishing right about as I called, a 51:30. 51:36. Very respectable time here. We'll mark him as done as the winner. That will transfer the audio over to Edu. Watch him finish the end of the race here.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, why does my screen always freeze when Edu is like near death? Is fine at this point, thankfully.
It's trying to spare your innocence.
I think so. I don't need to see this sort of tragedy, but thankfully there was none this time, and it looks like Muri finished out. That was a great THK fight, truly. And so Murray saying that his heart is racing in the chat. Who could blame him at this point?
Yeah, I want to applaud Edgy there for saving that shade sibling climb
For
without
sure.
having a big fall to the bottom is pretty great, because as soon as you get hit by a shade, it's usually pretty hard to pogo on it and regain
Hmm.
that height. And if you just start slipping past them, then they all amass above you, and you either have to take it really, really slow to try to get back up, or you have to try to risk
Yeah,
it and
I
yeet
always
yourself through
quote
them.
always quote the first person I've ever commentated with, who was Quacksilver, and she just stated that the sibling climb is a very momentum-based thing. If you are going and you keep going, it's probably going to be fine, but the second you get hit, yeah, exactly as Sabi said, it's just huge opportunity for a fall. But big props to Edu for getting through it. And now we'll see him grabbing a streak of his own and yeah, finishing out the whole thing.
This streak spell is incredible. It would be nice if this was a bit of a longer run, because longer runs have the ability to make this trip a lot earlier, like in 112%. They go and
Hmm.
get this uh, about
Very
40
early.
minutes in, but it's still about 30% of the way in, and it becomes their strongest tool. Such a huge
Right.
percentage of it. And here we just can't afford that because, well, we have to fight Hornet too, and
Yeah.
just the way it's all optimally routed,
Hmm.
there's just no way to make
Unfortunately, yeah.
this.
It doesn't make sense to head to the Abyss, to head to KE first and foremost. Before we would be doing some of these bosses. I mean, for example, a Shriek on Umu would just be very lovely, but yeah, it's not something we can afford here. But thankfully, we do get to use against THK, and even though it looks a little awkward, I have had the long-standing joke of THK being a job interview. You're interviewing for the position of containing the infection. Each phase is the Hollow Knight asking you questions, and you just scream, and that's how you get your acceptance. And so it works very well. 120 damage if you get all your hits in with Shaman, and like
Yeah,
that's definitely not worth turning your nose up at.
yeah. It's sad how much screaming really accomplishes, because the fight without the scream is definitely just so much slower.
Oh yeah.
Turns out screaming at your boss incredibly effective. Don't
Right.
do
I
that
mean,
for
that's
help.
the thing. You are instantly accepted. You give an excellent interview very fast. They have pretty much no follow-up questions for you. They aren't interested. They just give you the job right away and they're like, "Okay, here's the entire infection." And that's it. But yeah, EJ's gonna head down. I do remember, I believe it was Axe at some point that just stated one really cool thing about all skills is that we use all three nail arts for early control from the well. Every single skill we get in this run we use, and I think that's really special. And it also is just a testament to like the cool way in which Hollow Knight is designed. In that like if you know how to use all of the skills, all of them have really good uses, and so it is very cool just how we implement things and how they turn out to be optimal, and I've always found that a really beautiful thing about this category.
And most be entering this fight. There's actually a little bit of nuance to breaking these chains even. It's so crazy how many
Yeah.
very, very small time saves there are in this run. Like one of the initial things that so many people, so many runners start off thinking is just realizing how many, or just realizing the dashes
Right.
are so much faster than movement usually, but it turns out the dashing in between the chains is actually so much slower. We go for an any percent fight. I guess shade souling is pretty optimal.
Yeah. It is very interesting here. And just like it is, yeah, also on one mask, Jinkies. But yeah, we'll go to this sort of self-stab phase and we'll be able to heal up. Um, Yeah, and there's a finished fight right there. We'll be able to get through. Yeah. Sorry, as we deal with something right now.
Good game to both runners. We should be marking Edu as
GG's
done.
to both runners.
Able
We
to
should
bring
be
them
having
on.
them in soon.
Yeah, for the interview in just a minute. Hope to
Yeah,
see.
sorry about that. Just dealing with something. Yeah. Okay. We should be able to have them in. It seems that they're both here, so we're going to bring them in for the interview.
Should go.
Hi, everybody. GG's.
Hey,
GG's.
thanks. There.
All right. Well,
There's
congratulations
a lot of
on the
things
race.
to talk about, I think.
Yeah. Do you have any specific initial thoughts?
Yeah, fuck 4 seconds load normalizer. This is my main mood right now. I mean, I'm not gonna complain too much because I ended up like being first, but that was a terrible run. It felt so bad from a just a failing point of view because of the load normalizer kept stopping my momentum, and it was really hard to cope with it. By the end, I think it was fine. Like right after a broken vessel, I switched. Like there are two parts in the run. There is before broken vessel where I lost maybe more. No, about 2 minutes and 20 seconds on my sum of best, and then I lost 40 seconds on the rest. So yeah, that was tough to get into the mood with the low normalizer. I really didn't expect it to be that important.
Yeah, this kind of does tend to throw off the internal clock. But
Yeah, maybe. I thought I was ready because we've been using the 2 second load normalizer since the beginning of the tournament, but it was like a completely different thing. I really didn't expect that.
well, I
But yeah,
suppose
not
now
gonna
you know,
complain.
I suppose now you know how Edu feels in his runs.
No, I think
Yeah.
the main problem is not having a 4 second load. I mean, I don't know exactly, it is mine, but it's really the fact that you're changing the pace you're used to.
Okay. Okay.
That might be that, but I don't know. Maybe Edu hates having 4 seconds load. I mean, he
I mean,
probably
I don't
hates
think
it, but
anyone. Yeah, I don't think anyone likes
yeah, that is true. I might have spoke too fast.
As somebody who has played all of Hollow Knight actually until today, I'm getting a PC on the third day. On a Mac, I can relate to the fact that 4 second loads are typically not pleasurable, and I am sure in a race setting where cycles are of the utmost, they're even worse.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think it affected cycle that much, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
All right. And how about Edu here? Can we have a few words for you on just your general feelings on the race?
Well, I think overall I played pretty well. Like, I had a PB until my death, and
Oh,
I even continued saving time after that until 2 cycle move, and then failing the damage warp as well, like losing 40 more seconds there. Like after that, I just didn't really feel like playing anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
where did you die exactly?
Second phase Soul Master, so I lost
Ooh,
over 2 minutes to that.
I see. And like
Yeah.
you were ahead. He was ahead before that. I would
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
He
was
was.
ahead of your time even, Murray. It was
Yeah,
he was really pushing the pace there.
you were certainly ahead. And I mean, Edu, I think that both Sabi and I are curious. We would be curious to hear about like that specific strat you used on second phase Soul Master. Also, chat is saying that you're a little bit quiet, so if there's any way you could like make yourself a bit louder, that would be helpful too.
I'll try.
Thank
I
you.
mean, my output volume is on max though, so I can't
Mm.
really fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, we would, I think, need maybe a speed gaming volunteer. I think he is audible if you turn
Yeah,
volume
I think
up
so
a bit.
too.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
could
like
try
if
to
you put it at like 200 volume on the restream side, that might be fine. But yeah, I see. Then you use the like the fast damage rotation where you are on the wall at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I never go for that in races just because I'm never confident enough. Since I've been trolled by the turnaround where I firebolt in the wrong direction after getting hit, I stopped doing that altogether because I thought it would, like, if you fail it, it is really dangerous depending on your health.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think actually the only mistake that was made was I believe what happened was you missed a nail hit that you thought you had. Is that right, Edu?
well, I noticed I missed it, but I was planning on going back down and then getting the extra nail hits there, but I accidentally dashed and then Soulmaster spawned right into
Oh.
me. So yeah,
I
Ah,
see.
the
I should have
dash was
just
accidental.
fallen right down and dashed later.
Oh, that's so
Hmm.
unfortunate because yeah, the strat looked so clean before that.
Yeah.
I was just mentioning, I was like, oh, how he really wants to be careful not to lose one of these 2 HP so that he has
Yeah.
run some base tank here.
I mean, I'm
Yep.
usually really consistent with that, and I only lose 1 HP from that strat anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just missed my nail hit
Spirity.
and failed because of that. It was all my
Spirity
bad.
mentioned in chat you've run Sanctum 1,000 times.
Yeah. When I was running for comp sub, I just kept doing it over and over.
That's
Yeah,
That's a good
dedication right there.
strat to get better. That's
Yeah, for
the
sure.
best strat.
Yep, the Spirity method really works.
Yeah, I see. No, I seriously, at some point, I really felt like stopping to play. Like, I really, like, I think it was in Sanctum, like in the room with the Soul Twister and all the mistakes. I was on the verge of like, I was like, if I'm getting hit and I die at Sulmaso, I'm just gonna leave. That would have been so unfortunate because, I mean, that would have put us about even maybe.
Yeah.
And I would have, forfeited, completely oblivious to the fact that I still could have could have made it.
So you didn't check stream once then?
I didn't check stream at all.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's just that if I died, I was like, if I die there, I'm just gonna quit because it was feeling so awkward, and I really wasn't having any fun at that point in the race. So
Wow.
I really considered leaving, but then I thought to myself, I mean, you never know what's gonna happen. And yeah, I mean, 51, it's still pretty good
Yeah.
time. It's just that I probably lost, like in the very first minutes, I maybe very first minutes, about until Sanctum actually. Yeah, I lost I don't know, almost a minute to a normal pace. Maybe not as much, but yeah, it just it didn't feel really well. But then I kept the pace, and in the end, I got lucky a little bit.
And I do want to encourage chat to ask any questions that they do have, but in the meantime, I will just take the time to say that in terms of a comeback mentality, both of you guys actually
Yeah.
displayed a pretty excellent examples of that. I mean, Edgy, right after your death, you were still saving time, and
Yeah, I had a great Sanctum the second time even.
second try Sanctum was just as good, if not better. And then you went on to save time in the Hornet split and the Isma split.
Oh yeah, my Isma split was once again, I was thrown off, and yeah, I lost 20 seconds, I think.
Yeah, you definitely go for a different dash method than I do on the second one. It seemed like you seem to prefer to be a lot closer to the inside of that corner rather than to just dash back.
I don't know, to be honest. Maybe I was, thrown off, and I was not in my usual spot, it's really complicated to tell because I tend to forget, like my mind goes blank when I'm in a race.
But yeah, I mean, even with all of these mistakes and stuff, you guys were both able to pull it back and make sure you closed out the race strongly, and I was really impressed by
Mhm.
that.
Mm.
I think it was
Yeah,
actually a
absolutely.
pretty great race. Well, I mean, you can be the judge of that, Edu, whether it was a good race. But I felt like it did show off your talent as a runner, because even with that Soul Sanctum, that you could see that there was so much skill in that one split
Yeah. I mean, I
displayed.
think it was. I mean, I was mentioning to Sabi on comms, like, I mean, it's a cruel thing to say because obviously, like, any death is lamentable and like terrible for the runner, but it was almost like really cool to get to watch you run Sanctum with two different varieties of RNG, just because like how heavy that split is in RNG. Like, we got to see the heads up play, and like I think that I enjoyed this race tremendously because we got to see moments of great execution from both of you, and we also got to see both of you, you know, go forth, make mistakes you weren't happy with, and then just like handle them in a really, really sick way, and that was awesome.
Okay, one thing I want to ask: that sibling climb, Edu. Holy moly, that was scary. Good job saving that one, because that was
Yes.
like you
Yeah,
got
I
hit
started
so early
taking
on. You're only halfway up.
yeah. I started taking it really slowly and just pogoing the siblings, like taking my time.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
worked out.
in the end. Yeah.
It did.
Learning experience, but you know how to make those comebacks. So let me just double check, see if we have anything from chat here. Oh, thank you to our speed gaming volunteer for doubling the volume for
Yes.
Edgy here.
And I mean, I think that as we close out, it is definitely a question that should be asked of Edu. I mean, this is officially your last race in the tournament. Is there anything that you'd like to reflect on, you know, throughout your experience playing 5 prelims matches, making it very commendably deep into the playoffs, through all this stuff, or just your time doing all skills in general? I mean, you're welcome to even remark on what's next for you, whether you plan on continuing in this category or moving on to something else.
I have my idea on that.
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, I'm very surprised I made it this far in the tournament. Like, there are so many better runners that I feel like should have gone this far instead of me. But I mean, I can't complain, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I'm still gonna keep running all skills at least until I have a 50 XX.
Nice.
And maybe
Oh, actually,
I was planning on returning to any percent.
yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna do. I'm disappointed.
Yeah. I
Not
mean, I'm
even
gonna
running the best category.
I'm gonna go back to 80% after I have a 50, I think, because I'm so close to that. And yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah.
Well, I have to applaud both of our racers here again for giving us a good show today.
For sure.
And I will wish Edgy luck in his continuation in the all skills category. I think it's really cool to just see runners. I mean, where did you start the tournament at, Edgy? Do you know what your PB was starting off? Just off the top of your head?
Well, I started out the category because of the tournament, and like my seed time was like 56 something, like high 56.
Wow.
Shout out.
Yeah.
That's so impressive to see. I mean, it was really cool to just see the entire community get really invested in this category. Just because like there used to be only 3-4 people with a 50xx. 50xx used to be the world record as well, and now we can just hear runners who didn't even start off knowing this category really say that they're confident in being able to leave the category with that kind of time, and I'm sure you're able to do it. And for Murray, you better get that 49 soon.
Yeah.
No. I am, at the exception of the races, I'm not playing whole night at all. Lately,
wow.
I've been learning Celeste 80%.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm busy, and I try to, obviously I'm de-rusting before races. I do like a run here and there just to not forget, my muscle memory and my memory, at all. Like right now, I pretty much I didn't have any, expectations entering the tournament, but I think right now I am like in top 4. So
Nice.
I don't know. It feels like a nice place to be kicked out of the tournament. So I for the moment I am happy I'm there. I'm gonna leave soon, and then I'm gonna play Celeste all the time, probably.
Nice.
And then eventually come back to All Night because that's an incredible game, obviously.
Yeah, well, we'll be excited for both your journey to Celeste and your journey back here. Top 4 is an amazing place to be in a tournament. But
Yes.
I guess one last question I'd have for you specifically, Muri.
Mhm.
Do you have any guesses on your opponent here? Can get some
Ooh.
trash talk to Axe or Pisces. Who
Let's
wants
hear
no,
it.
I'm actually gonna face the winner of Valley versus Sour. I believe before like the winner of our match will then face Axe or Pisces.
Right.
So I don't know if the race is already planned. I mean, Valley has the PB advantage, I think. So it's going to be a really interesting race to watch for sure. And then, I mean, it's going to be tough for me. So no, I don't have any trash talk because I'm not really confident about the next race, to be honest. So yeah, no trash talk. They are both great runners. I'm really looking forward to watching the race, and I'm really looking forward to facing the winner of that race.
All right. Well, we do have some great matches ahead of us. Axe and Pisces will be coming up next week, I believe, and then we have
Tomorrow, you mean?
tomorrow.
Isn't it tomorrow?
I
Oh,
think
maybe
it's
I.
scheduled for Tuesday.
Oh, it is Tuesday. Oh, yeah, okay. Yep, Tuesday. I just mixed up my my days in my head.
Definitely
Oh,
less
damn.
than a week. Definitely less than a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tuesday. Ham was right. It is Tuesday.
Just
Tuesday,
scheduled,
1
yeah.
p.m. EST, EDT, rather.
Yes. Sadly, one of the days I have work, so I'll have to work.
I have
But
a
it'll be a
very
great race.
important thing. I have a very important thing as well on that day. So sadly, I will be celebrating and not watching that race. But it's fine.
I mean, that one's going to be great just because it will feature the only 2 runners to have gone the entire tournament without a loss.
Yes.
And yeah, that's going to be whoever wins that one. Surely going to be a huge opponent in the winners finals, and whoever loses, God, if you're gonna feel sorry for whoever has to face them in the losers bracket,
We'll see.
a runner of that caliber gatekeeping you from finals, you'll definitely have to earn your way out.
Yeah. I mean, Pisces just already beat me twice, so a third time will do the charm, I think.
Tournaments are fun like that when they go on long enough for rematches.
I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, GG's to both of you. Just seriously commendable job. It's a wonderful race. I was honored to commentate. Thank you so much to Sabi for providing wonderful and knowledgeable co-commentary. Was a pleasure as well. And yeah, of course, many thanks to Speed Gaming for hosting this whole thing and for making this all so easy to do on many fronts. We are always appreciative of y'all.
Yeah, and thank you very much for commentating our race, and thanks to the chat for watching. And I hope you had a good time. Bye.
Goodbye.
Adios, folks.